Welcome to Tame the Taboo. This podcast is brought to you by Discover Health. Discover Health specializes in healthcare, education, and resources for her most intimate concerns. I'm your host, Nurse Jenna Ray. I'm a women's health and gender-related nurse practitioner, and I am making it my business to take you from sufferer to sensei. So if you are suffering from conditions that are not easily treated in an annual exam, or you want to join me on this journey to become my healthiest, wealthiest, best business owning self, sit back, relax, and enjoy these episodes. All right. Welcome to another episode of Tame the Taboo. I am so honored today to have Dr. Sarah Cigna on the podcast. And Dr. Cigna is one of my colleagues. We've worked together for some time now, which is crazy to think about, but also one of my friends. And I'm just so honored to have her present her genius to you today. So Dr. Cigna is one of the best OBGYNs in the city, DC, working at George Washington Medical Faculty Associates, MFA, and also is the visionary behind the Saga Center. And so I'm so happy that she can tell you all about that in her work. So hi, Sarah.
Hi, it's so good to see you as always.
Yeah, so good to see you too. So tell the people like who you are, what you do, what you're about.
So where do I start? I've been in the DC area my whole life. I grew up in Maryland and did all of my graduate schooling and everything close by. My family's international, so moving to other parts of the United States was never a big priority for me. I just like having my home base in this area. At GW, I found a lot of mentorship in sexual medicine, something I didn't even know existed. And as I started to do more and more through my training, I realized this is something that there's such a need for, particularly in the academic space. There's just not that many people who practice this in a focused way in academic centers, and felt like it was a place I could contribute to as I kind of got along in my training and then eventually graduated. I mean, my whole mission is to just create more access for this kind of care for all people. And the vision has changed and blossomed and developed with new team members and new ideas and also challenges. We've run into many challenges trying to do this within the insurance model. It is not easy. I will not even pretend to say that it has not been blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into this process. But our leadership at GW has been really supportive of helping us navigate those potential obstacles so that we can do the best we can to give this care to patients in an affordable way.
So tell me a little bit more about like what those obstacles are, because I worked in the insurance world like alongside you at GW for a long time. So I know them intimately, but our audience might not know. So why is it that so many people are like me who are starting these private practices, and what makes it so difficult to do it within the traditional healthcare system?
Yeah. So when it comes to insurance-based care, a lot of it comes down to time. We bill a lot by time because that's the best way for us to kind of give an objective measure of how much, quote, work was put into each patient encounter. And that's something that you have to document very carefully for every single patient encounter that you have in order to bill to their insurance and then get sort of the credit for that work that was done that then helps the business continue to move on. That process is so much more complicated than what I just even explained, but that's kind of the basis of it. So, when we're looking at time, really, we're compensated for half an hour of work at the most. Many GYNs only get 15 minutes for even an annual visit or a return GYN concern. So, having that time is one of the biggest challenges that we face. So we split up our intakes into 2 visits. So you have a half an hour where you just talk, particularly if there's pain involved, and 80+% of our patients come with some kind of pain in the spectrum of their sexual health concerns. And, we spend just half an hour talking. There's so much to unpack. We want to understand, people's philosophy around their own body. We want to understand what their triggers are if they have a history of trauma so that we can provide the most respectful care that we can. We also then will bring people back for an exam, which they know kind of what to expect now. They've met us. It's not so scary because, we have a little bit of rapport. They've had some time to kind of mull over some of the things that might be going on, give them resources after that first visit. And then when they come back, we're ready for the exam. And then we can spend some time talking about education of their body, their physiology, what's not working about their physiology, and then what we can do about it. So that's kind of how we work logistically. And it's challenging because, people don't have time to take off multiple days for visits. People don't have time to come back and back and back for procedures, but we're kind of stuck playing within this system that really limits our ability to give comprehensive care in one setting. So that's kind of the balance we try to hit, is giving people the time that they need, but in a way that their insurance is actually going to cover it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really tough and that's what I find too. And what I found I was most frustrated by is that like you're just up against the clock and you're talking to people about their most intimate issues. It's like I can't speed fire ask you about like your sex and peeing and pooping and all the things that are so intimate in 5 minutes with my hand on the door and then, give you the care that you need and deserve. So I'm just so proud of you for creating a way to see people within this system because there are only two options. It's either completely buck the system and do something different or try to find strategies to work within the system. And you're doing it, girl.
I mean, I hope that it just inspires more people who are already in academic centers and other insurance-based models to try and start offering this care within their system, because you don't have to do only this, right? You can be a gynecologist, you can be an obstetrician, you can be a urologist, a urogynecologist, you can be an internal medicine doctor, you can be anything and insert some pieces of this care if you only have the tools to bill, to take the time and get credit for the time so that, you're able to get credit from your bosses, right? Because we all have bosses when we work in a system that we have to meet standards for. And I hope that I can inspire people to start inserting that in. And hopefully this becomes so much more just common, things that are offered in your routine visit, things that are offered as follow-ups, because there's so many places where this just isn't offered at all.
I love that you talk about how it is so multidisciplinary because I like to say that we work in silos. And as a nurse practitioner, women's health nurse practitioner, my schooling was all about the vagina, right? Like how do you treat the vagina, dysfunction in the vagina? But then starting to do my work in urology was all about the urethra and the bladder. And
Right.
very quickly I realized that like women have vaginas and bladders and urethras and brains that have sexual dysfunction. And so we as human beings, our systems, we're not, in these buckets that healthcare forces us into. And so, yeah, you can get this care from your internal medicine doctor, from your nurse practitioner, from your OBGYN, from your mental health professional too. It really does take a team and looking at the full person in front of you.
Yeah, if I didn't have my multidisciplinary network, there's no way I could do my job. There's just absolutely no way. And that includes people, like you said, in other disciplines, but also just completely different career paths. As you know, I work very closely with a nurse practitioner that we both hold near and dear, Emily Odenwald. And I couldn't have accomplished half of what we have at the Saga Center without her being there by my side, really just doing the work and trying new things and figuring out how to best take care of patients. So I could not do it without my team. And I rely on people like you too, who, you offer, some things that are a step above what I can offer in my setting. And so when I can refer out to people who have a few more extra tools, a few extra things that you can offer, that's like so helpful because it gives patients hope that, okay, this isn't the end of the road, right? I can go to this other place and potentially use this other tool to try and get better. And I think that that's important too, is just keeping hope open for patients, because when, they're told I have nothing else to offer you, that is so hard to hear. And so I really rely on all of my multidisciplinary colleagues to make sure we're keeping the momentum going, keeping the progress going. And the patients still check back with me in between, but I'm the one who's kind of like, okay, go here, go talk to this person. Okay, now I want you to go here and talk to this person. So sometimes I'm kind of like the center of the wheel, right? On
The
people's
point guard,
Yes,
the
exactly.
quarterback. Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I enjoy it because it's a lot of problem solving and collaborating, which is fun.
So we just got back from Phoenix,
Yeah.
where you put on a phenomenal course for Ishwish. I talk about Ishwish on this podcast all the time, but it's the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health. It's a society that's been near and dear to my heart since I started my career in 2014, and same for you. So tell me a little bit about what it meant for you to be able to put on this course to teach people from all types of disciplines how to care for sexual health.
So this was a very surreal experience for me, and one that I have to thank all of the people that are on my current team. So that's Emily Odenwald, Anina Michelini, who's another physician on our team, and Joey Bong, who takes care of a lot of our gender affirmation care patients. These people gave me the courage to think, okay, yeah, I can teach this too, because I taught all of them, how to start a practice, how to do sexual medicine. And realizing after teaching these people, I was like, oh, I can actually do this too. And, being given the platform by ISWISH to really get up there and not only just give the lectures, but really get to shape the course. There were very intentional decisions to have each day start with a talk that's centered around justice, for racial equity, for socioeconomic equity. All of these things were really intentional choices to make sure that we are pushing our organization's influence in a direction that's going to really help everybody. That was really special to be a part of. Our faculty was so diverse. It was amazing. We had so many new people that were teaching, and all of us were just had the jitters, thinking how exciting it is that we get to be up on that stage and then continue to pass that on to other people as time goes on.
And it was felt. The energy was definitely noticed and noted. Just again, I've been a part of the society and I've been to these courses time after time. And I looked up on the stage at one point and it was like, there are all women up there. And not just women, there are women of color. There's a Black woman talking about racial justice. And so that was just super special and something that I was very moved by. And I just want to publicly thank you for making room for that because it's so needed.
It's so needed. And I so appreciate that people felt that because it was genuinely a huge focus of the course this year.
So let's pivot for a little bit. Tell me, so you do sexual medicine, so that's pain, that's libido, that's orgasms, all the things. What's your favorite thing to see on your schedule to be like, okay, that's gonna be my highlight of my day? What's your favorite thing to treat?
So I love all of the sexual health stuff, especially, when we take care of somebody's pain and then we get to talk about desire, arousal, orgasm. I think that's actually one of my favorite things. First of all, because people are just so happy that they're not in excruciating pain anymore, whether it be from touching, from insertion, whatever it is that caused them pain before, being able to engage with their body in a way that is not traumatizing is so rewarding. So those visits where they come back and they're like, I'm feeling so much better. I still have no desire. Those are my most favorite visits because then I'm like, okay, great. Let's do all the fun stuff now, right? These are the parts where people get to experiment. People get to look at new resources. People get to reframe how they relate to their own body. And I find that to be one of the most rewarding things is giving people their pleasure back, right? Or really, I should say, let them take their pleasure back, right? Because it's been taken from them, from pain, from trauma, from, hurtful relationships, whatever it was that was kind of the beginning of all this, they get to take it back. And I think that is so empowering and really changes people's life trajectory.
It really does, because when you have access to pleasure in your sexual health and your personal health, then it opens you up to pleasure in other ways.
Yep.
If you're not, you're happier, you're not depressed,
Yes.
you're not on the verge of a divorce because you can't have penetrative intercourse with your partner anymore. There are so many other shifts that happen beyond just treating the sex and beyond just treating the pain.
Yeah, totally.
Yay. Okay, so you are a educator extraordinaire. You are a fantastic surgeon, and you have decided to stop delivering babies. Am I remembering correctly?
Well, I still deliver babies.
Okay.
I don't offer prenatal care in the office.
Okay.
So my partners who are amazing, they are, some are generalist OBGYN, so they do full spectrum obstetrics and gynecology. We have nurse practitioners, we have PAs, and then we also have specialists in high risk pregnancy. They're the ones who take care of all the pregnancy stuff in the clinic. I have stopped doing that in the clinic, and I now provide care to pregnant patients who have pain or who have an issue with their clitoris, et cetera. But I do it outside of their prenatal care. Again, because of that limitation with insurance, prenatal care, the global package model, which is how our country kind of models prenatal care for most states, is that you get 15-minute visits for your follow-ups for prenatal care. I don't know if everybody knows that. When they're going to their prenatal visits, you're only allotted 15 minutes. Your doctor or nurse practitioner or physician assistant may spend more time with you, but 15 minutes is what that person is allotted in their schedule. I cannot address someone's pain and their prenatal care in 15 minutes. And I just didn't feel right leaving someone who was upset about their pain midway through a conversation. So I had to take the prenatal care part out to make it so that when people come to me, we can really delve into the sexual issues and take care of them the way that they deserve.
Was that hard for you to give up?
Yeah. I had a lot of patients that I had followed for multiple pregnancies, delivered their babies in some cases. Yeah. And, that relationship is really special. And there's a lot of trust that's built over time. Some of them still reach out with questions or, I just want to pick your brain about this with their next pregnancy. And, obviously I can't help but, but respond and, engage with them. But I do some prenatal care with the residents because I supervise their clinic several times a month. So it's not like I'm completely out, and I still do deliveries. I do forceps deliveries. I do all those things that I love doing on the inpatient side in labor and delivery, but I had to take that part out in order to make it so I could really increase the access to patients and give them the care that they deserve.
Yeah, we have to make some hard decisions as sexual health providers. Like there are certain things that you might want to do, but you just don't have time. And there
Yep.
are certain ways that you might want to practice. For me, it's like I want to accept insurance. I want to be accessible, especially for women of color, being a Black woman. But it's just, your hands are tied and you got to make decisions like this all the time. But I asked that question selfishly because you were there. You did my ultrasounds for both of my babes, and you just have such a light about you. It really is. And obviously, I'm an expert. I've been doing this work. Like, I know all about prenatal care, but you're so vulnerable when you're pregnant. And to have just your energy and your presence in the room is such a happy memory to think about, and even the videos to reflect back on. So I just want to publicly again thank you for that experience and how special you really made it for me.
That's really kind. Thank you. It's such a special time to be a part of. It's people's most intimate moments. And to be able to bear witness to that is truly an honor for anybody I know who provides this type of care.
So what is it about you that positions you to care for women or to sit with women at their most intimate moments, like through their pain, through their intimacy issues, through their pregnancies?
I'm 100% an extrovert. I love talking. I have had to learn, and my husband, my partner, is actually the one he's the better listener in our relationship, but I have learned so much from him about listening, and through some of that in just our relationship and being in the medical space and learning about medical trauma and learning about, why patients don't feel heard and why women especially feel dismissed and discounted in the medical space. There's been a lot of reflection. We've done a lot of group exercises in our practice to really analyze what are we missing. And through a lot of that work, I mean, it was not easy to come by. I have learned through training that you have to just sit there and listen. And you can't insert your own thoughts or your own judgments. You have to wait till the end and listen to the whole thing. So I start out every visit, and this is what I learned from my mentor, Andrew Goldstein, from the very beginning, said, tell me your story. Start from the beginning. Everything was okay, but then what? And sometimes nothing was ever okay, right? Like sometimes from the very beginning, something was wrong. But sometimes there's a point at which people can see that shift, and just letting them start, open up, and just talk is so therapeutic. It doesn't fix the pain, it doesn't fix the problem, but just the being listened to, I think, is what is like the biggest tool that I use in order to really let people feel safe. And I use that in any kind of visit. So if I am doing a prenatal visit, if I am doing a GYN consult for unrelated issues, something that's not sexual health related, I really try to continue to do that, and also teach the residents to do that, right? The people I'm teaching, to use this open-ended kind of receptive interviewing where I'm receiving the information. I might be clarifying a few things here and there, but really receiving the information before making any judgment or kind of assumptions about what might be going on.
Well, it is so clear that you are very good at it, and this is like what you were designed to do. So it's really good.
I mean, I feel like I learned from people like you too, Jenna, because you have that same ability. I mean, I've seen you with patients, and we've talked about patients together. We collaborate on patients, and I think it's something that some people are gifted with, but I think people can learn it too. And I think if we start at the beginning, right, the students, the residents, and just show them that you can do an efficient visit and still get so much information from people. You don't have to, govern the visit. That is so helpful, I think, for learners to learn and to then kind of break this cycle that we're in of medicine being controlled by the person in power.
I love that you are giving the authority back to the client. And I love how you say you don't have to govern the visit, because a lot of the work that I do is trying to empower through education for people, again, to take that power back. And so I don't ever want the dynamic to be me doing something to you. This is me giving you the tools to heal yourself, right? So that's so important. You don't have to govern the relationship. I love that. So one of my favorite questions to ask other entrepreneurs, I consider you an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur working within the GW system, but especially mothers, is how has motherhood like affected your drive, your like what has it done to you?
Focus. It has given me focus. It's given me a lot of things, a lot of gray hairs. But focus, I think, is the main one. And really, my kids, my 3 kids who are 6 and under, they have taught me to just stop and focus. And a lot of it is modeled after I have to stop and focus on them, right? A lot of my time at home, I am mom, right? I am really focused on connecting with them, spending time with them, doing things with them that are going to help build their self-esteem, right? Build their skills, build their knowledge, build their just feeling of worth, right? I really believe that that's so important as a parent. But then I also have to go to work, right? And, bring paycheck home to pay for said daycare and school and everything. So, in that part of my life, I have to be focused also. So just as focused as I am at home, and as, sometimes unavailable I may seem to, a colleague, for example, if it's after hours, I have to then say, I will address this in the morning, or I'll answer your email in the morning, because I can't do both. I can't do it all at the same time. So I'm a big believer in, the different hats that we wear, and just making sure that when I am present for something, I'm 100% present there. And I mean, that's the only way for me to function. I don't know how else I would do. I would just have to do less, but we have so much to do. I can't do
Right.
that.
Yeah. And I think it's important for me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to be focused and realize my own dreams
Mm-hmm.
as an example to my children.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want my kids to grow up and be like, my mom did this thing that a lot of people were like, that's a little bit crazy, but she did it and she persevered and pushed through. So I can realize my dreams too. So
Yep.
it's really good to just be an example.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it is so good to see you again. I, again, thank you for all that you have done for me personally, and just your willingness to be a good colleague and work collaboratively together. So I just want to thank you for helping us to tame the taboo and joining us on this podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenna.
You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Tame the Taboo. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Send this to your girlfriend so they can join you on your journey as we transition to our healthiest, wealthiest, best selves. See you in the next episode.